All right, we live. So make sure you like it and share. Sharing it. You know what I mean? Share it to your page.
Okay.
You see the identity, the Identity Speaks page is going to be the main part. So we're streaming live on Identity Speaks on Facebook. We're streaming live on my personal page, and we are streaming live in the Identity Speaks YouTube channel.
Oh, awesome.
Yes,
Outstanding.
yes, yes. Get these folks on here. Might give you some background. Might.
Okay.
Hmm.
Oh, look at that. There we are.
You see? Share it to your
Oops.
page. Okay.
My bad.
It's okay. Bop, bop, bop. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Happy Saturday, folks. Happy Saturday. Get us on, get us liked, get us shared. Hey, prophetess. Hello, Cheryl. How are you? Thank you for joining. Thank you. Y'all mind, like, share, tell a friend. We're talking about self-esteem and identity today. Hey, Miss Shirley. How are you? How are you? Thank you for joining. This is my personal. I ain't got to speak. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it, ma'am.
Hello. How are you?
Good afternoon. Hey, y'all, I got another one of my cousins on here. Sure, I brought another one of my cousins on here.
Yes.
Yes. I'm doing good. Today is a good day. It's a little cold in the great state of Texas. Look, what is the weather like in North Carolina? How's the weather?
Yes. Well, we're waiting on snow.
Oh,
So we're supposed to get 6 to 9 inches between today and tomorrow. So
that's ungodly. I'm so glad I live
what's
in
what's actually gonna happen is we're gonna get a little dust in, a couple of ice cubes, everything's gonna shut down. And that's what's gonna happen.
Not real snow. Sure, it's supposed to snow in Tennessee too, from what I understand.
Yes, it's supposed to be up and down the East Coast. Well, like coming from I think like Alabama, that
Mm,
area through Georgia, South Carolina, up to North Carolina.
thank God for
And I
Tennessee.
think in continuing, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm cool on snow.
Yes.
Very much cool on snow. We're gonna give it a few minutes. I'm gonna give people a chance to get on. And then we're going to start our conversation today. We're talking identity and self-esteem. Identity and self-esteem from multiple
Hmm.
aspects today. Multiple aspects.
Yes.
So let me tell you something. Y'all know this Texas. Y'all start talking about snow in Texas. We shut down.
Hmm.
We shut down. There's nothing that we do in snow, especially in this part of Texas, like North Texas. They do okay. We don't really do well
We don't either.
here.
So all the grocery stores are bare here. Yeah.
That's the thing too.
Oh
That's the
yeah.
thing. We're not gonna prophesy because this ain't church, but
Mm-mm.
make sure you stop by.
Right.
Make
Have
sure
your
you
stuff.
have your stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, there we go. Chat. Identity is vastly, vastly important. So let me start talking. Y'all know that the Lord told me Nisa's an identity expert. And I'm an identity expert because the things that tried to take away from who I am or tried to take away my understanding of who I am have not been able to do so. But it has not been without a fight. Like knowing yourself,
Hmm.
understanding what you're rooted in, understanding what you believe, and being able to stand in that place regardless of what comes at you, it becomes very, very difficult. I think today I wanted to talk self-esteem. Y'all see it on my shirt. Be your own brand of beautiful. Be your own brand of beautiful. And hey, my cousin, my family is the best people for me to have this conversation with because we are all very, very good at being uniquely who we are. We are
Yep.
all really great at self-love because we have been taught to love ourselves in that way. And so, and you know what? We are both rooted in Christ. We're both
Hmm.
in ministry. So the multiple facets and the aspects of this that you have to kind of maybe not necessarily contend with, but things that we see, you know, in ministry and so on and so forth, we both have a perspective of work, walking through that and working through that. So I think and y'all know, I want y'all to be a part of the conversation. I don't want this to just be a conversation that we're filibustering because, hey, we're wonderful at talking, but by all means, ask the questions, provide insight. You know what I mean? I want this because honestly, identity, particularly, you know, in the church, but identity is a conversation that needs to occur at large so we can understand
Mm-hmm.
honestly what we fighting, what we need to do different, and what we don't. So, um, you know, whatever the battles are. So we're gonna give it a few more minutes. If you haven't done so yet, please like, please share. If you feel so led, I would definitely appreciate it. We're talking identity and self-esteem today. Today we
Mm-hmm.
are talking about how you can be your own brand of beautiful, the things that come against you, being your own brand of beautiful, what that actually means, and man, what we do, like what's next? I always like to do like next steps. What do we do if we failing in a place? How do we fix it? We don't want to just fail. We want to, you know, we want to
Fail
elevate.
forward.
Yeah, you know what I mean. We want
Yes,
to elevate. We want to do something different and be part of the solution and not just complainers. So
that's right.
that is where we are. So I will. One thing I want to always do is talk about the identity when we first get started. So y'all know, I have the identity thing, and it's an understanding that your identity is a three-part really structure in your life, right? Which starts with your roots, like a tree. So the things that root you and keep you stable, and then there's going to be your trunk, which is your guiding principles, and the things that are built. So whatever roots you, your principles are going to look like the thing that roots you, or at least they should if your identity is consistent. And then you have the top of your tree, which is going to be your branches. It's going to be the fruit. Good evening, Miss Demetria. Thank you for joining. It's going to be the branches. It's going to be the fruit. It's going to be the expression of your identity. So as an example, my roots are in Christ. They're definitely in Christ. And so as my principles go forward, you'll see that, you know, the core of my life are godly principles, as much as I am able to make sure that I stay consistent in that. And then the expression of that shows up in the way that I either like minister, in the way that I do business. It is my objective to be a reflection of someone that is rooted in Christ. Good afternoon, Prophetess Rankin. Thanks for joining. To be somebody that is rooted in Christ. So the consistency in that is important. Now, what I want to say today is that there's a place where even in your identity, the things that make it hard for you to stay rooted, to be rooted and stay rooted, are the things that come against that. So today we're talking about identity. We're talking about identity and self-esteem. We are on here being our own brand of beautiful. It is Saturday in the great state of Texas. Y'all know that I am Nisa, sometimes Prophetess Nisa, and I will wear a grill. So today I decided to be the most extreme version of myself, which is Saturday H-Town grill wearing and B&B. So I'm gonna give my cousin. This is Sherelle, y'all. Let me tell y'all, this is my cousin Sherelle. And my cousins are great. I love my family, and she is always her own brand of beautiful. My cousin is also in ministry, and I will give her an opportunity to tell you who she is, what she does, what's important to her, and how she feels about this topic. Real, you got it.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Sherelle. I am so excited to be here with my cousin. I love her to death, and there's absolutely nothing I wouldn't do for her. And I just love this topic. Your own brand of beautiful, talking about self-esteem, talking about being your best self. My background, my love is architecture, engineering, construction. Everyone knows that's a male-dominated field, but that doesn't matter. I'll be the prettiest engineer you ever seen. I don't care. I will decorate my office with pink and purple and frills and everything else, and be the baddest engineer out there. How about that? So, so I absolutely love being me. I love being unique. And I am in ministry. My husband and I, we pastor here in Charlotte, North Carolina. He leads Destiny Church. We're very excited about that, growing, moving forward. And it's just my life's dream to inspire, to empower, to just really give all of our children the best step forward that they can have, but especially our young ladies. Like, don't be afraid to jump out into these industries, these fields, these talents. Who cares who dominates? Who cares? If it's something you love, chase your passion. And so I am all about chasing your passion, whatever that means. And so I'm excited to be here to talk about this and, maybe give you some of my experience that may help somebody.
Indeed. So let me start with the education aspect. I'm so glad that she said she was an architect. So first of all, beautiful is not just about how you look. Not for me anyway. For me, beauty is more than skin deep. And I know that's very, very cliche, but my thing is, just because one person in the room is beautiful does not mean that everybody else is. A common misconception is somebody walks in a room and they're confident, and somehow that's taken away from everybody else, which is absolutely untrue. Let me be clear. We are both educated. Like my cousin said, she's an architect by trade. My degree is in nutrition. I'm almost done with a master's thesis in nutrition. I am very much a business owner. When I was not doing my nutrition business, you want to talk about male-dominated field, I was in pharmaceutical sales.
Yep.
Pharmaceutical sales, where
say that. Yep.
Where you need to understand statistics. You need to be able to talk to doctors. You need to be able to walk into a room and know that even when you're the minority, that you need to still move like you're the majority. So, but am I still going to be me? Can I still be me? I'm going to be very much, hey, let me tell y'all something. These nails get them every time. It's one of those things that when I walk into a doctor's office and I'm selling, the ladies behind the desk, I love your nails. It's not because I'm trying to impress, it's because I'm being me. But one thing that there were people who told me when I got into pharma, because they were like, oh, you need to be more conservative. And I do understand like professionalism and a certain level of conservatism in the field. However, they were really trying to undo and dismantle who I was. Like, you need to change this about your hair. You need to change this about your nails. You need to make sure your clothes look this, and this. And I'm just like, okay, let me try. And I couldn't do it. Let me tell you something. I didn't start selling until I started being me. I wasn't actually moving units, y'all. I was selling medication, drugs legally, and I wasn't moving any units until I showed back up being exactly who I was. And so the first thing is, there's this thing I told somebody inboxed me. I was like, hey, you're gorgeous, be my friend. No, sir.
They tried it.
No, sir. That is not. I'm not, like, honestly, the truth about physical beauty is that it's DNA deep. And I didn't choose DNA. My parents came together at the right time. The Lord knew what he was doing, and that's what that was. But I can tell you that me and my cousin have taken the time to become educated, to become experts in our field, to become uniquely aware of who we are, and to be able to stand in a field that is very much male dominated. There's nothing like going to a sales meeting, and I'm 5'3.5". I'm 5'3.5". So I'm in a room with all of these men that are taller than me, more man than me, and been some of them selling longer. And the thing is, sometimes, like, those guys could be brand new in the industry and get a job where I couldn't, just because, of that whole thing. But my best work was done when I was my best self. So talk to me a little bit about architecture and just
listen. Everybody knows a construction site is filled with men. Everybody knows every engineering firm, most of the architectural firms are filled with men. And there is some level of conforming that you have to do to get in the door to establish yourself. But understand that's not the end goal. The goal is to get in the door. To show your knowledge and then blossom into who you are, so that you create your own unique brand. People come to me for a specific service. They come to me because they know what I'm going to do. They see it in every industry that I work in. And as it relates to, architecture and engineering, it's just a matter of not being afraid to stand up and be who you are. I can remember a lot of times where I was the only female in the office except for the receptionist. And when the
Right.
receptionist was out, they expected me to answer the phone. And I told them, no, I'm your boss. I'm not answering the phone. You're going to answer the phone. So take this answering machine pad and answer these telephones.
Yeah. So
That part.
listen, that
Yeah.
like that a certain the first thing about really understanding your own brand of beautiful is knowing who you are and not
Mm-hmm.
being afraid to be who you are. So it's not just about being pretty; it's about making yourself an expert, making yourself knowledgeable. There's nothing more
Mm-hmm.
unattractive than a head full of air. It's not
That's
cute
right.
to be pretty and don't know anything. It's not cute to
Mm-hmm.
be pretty and be dingy. It's not cute to be pretty and unintelligent. And let me tell you something. There's some things that I've seen women do over the years, like the whole crying fits. Hey, man, if you're emotional, then okay, you're emotional. But if we're not careful, it becomes really easy to fall into this place where emotionality is the thing that we use because we're
Mm-hmm.
women. And that's not there's nothing weak is not beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Emotional is true. Weak is not beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Unintelligent is not beautiful. So the brand of beautiful that you need to establish first is, hey, I'm confident and I'm confident in my expertise and being the fullness of who I am in
Mm-hmm.
whatever place and industry that I step my foot in. And if we're not careful, like you said, answer your phone. So I don't answer your phones. I'm not answering your phones. What are you talking
Right.
about?
Right.
Somebody answers my phones. Like, let's just be
Exactly.
quite honest. In a lot of the fields, we have to keep encouraging our girls to go into math and encouraging our girls to go into science
Yes.
because we're
Yes.
being limited. And the truth is, like, some of them blossom and become the most beautiful version of themselves in a place people said they shouldn't be.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, it's so true. And understanding what your strengths are. I'm not
Yeah,
great at everything. And
right.
it's okay for me. And I feel very confident to say, listen, this is not my field. This is
Right.
such and such. You need to talk to this person.
Yeah.
But the stuff I know about, I'm going to talk about because I took the time to study. I took the time to
Right.
know, and I took the time to educate myself in specific areas. So I know my strengths and the things that I'm not even going to call it a weakness, but the things that I am not an expert in are
Right.
not my downfall. Okay.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I have a downfall just because I didn't major in everything. I'm specific to
Exactly.
something. And
I
and
need
this
to
is my
be.
thing.
I
That's
need
right.
to be. If
That's
like
right.
we out here trying to be the jack of all trades, trying to prove that we're good enough, and this is where
Mm-hmm.
the self-esteem aspect of this comes in. I know who
Mm-hmm.
I am. I know what I'm good at. Let me be very clear. If I decided to pursue certain areas, if I
Mm-hmm.
decided to pursue it, I would become an expert.
I'd be
Some of
good at
that
that
thing,
too. Exactly.
like if I decided to, but there are
Right.
some things I just don't want to be an expert in. I'm
That's
fine being
right.
where I am and being
Mm-hmm.
knowledgeable in the place that I'm in. So we have to be very careful not to get pressed into places of necessarily like what is it, cliche places, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if this is what you come across as, then this is what we feel like you should be in. If this is
That's
where
right.
you are, then this is what we feel like you should know, as opposed to you becoming somebody that really knows yourself and knows what
Right.
it is that makes you blossom. There is nothing worse than somebody that is in an industry that they absolutely deplore and have
That's
been
right.
there for years and years and years. Like if
That's
y'all
right.
were on last time, I think my cousin was talking about being a nurse and how much she loved it, but there was a
Mm-hmm.
place where she was just like, this is not fulfilling me anymore. And if we're
Mm-hmm.
not careful, people are like, well, you're a pretty girl, you should be a nurse. You're a pretty
Mm-hmm.
girl, you should be a receptionist. You're a pretty girl, you should be a wife.
Right.
Your brand of beautiful has not been chasing wife for 25 years. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. And there's nothing wrong with being a wife. It's just, are you a person that's going to blossom in that role? Are you
Mm-hmm.
a person that's going to be able to find yourself and be the best version of yourself in that role? Or have you been pressed into a place because of expectation, and now some of your
Right.
beauty is not even your brand anymore? It
Mm-hmm.
literally belongs to the people that decided you were supposed to go in that direction. And
That's
I'm not
right.
married, so I can't even speak to how it changes when you get in a marriage.
Well, but you know what? When you get in a marriage, iron sharpens iron. And when
Yes.
you take the time to seek the Lord, I mean, I know
Yes.
this is not a spiritual
Hey,
conversation,
but we
but
rooted
at
in
the end
Christ.
of the day,
But we are rooted in Christ.
what God ordains, God sustains.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Come
let's
on.
just
Right.
put it out there. And when you're in a marriage and you're working together, it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to challenge you to be a better version of yourself. And so when you allow it to be what it's created to be, then you will continue to find. I have learned myself even more being married. I'll be married almost 16 years. I'll be married 16 years coming this March. And I love who I am today. I see the growth and I see how I have learned who I am because of my husband. And so it's a wonderful thing if you allow it, but understand, allowing it doesn't mean it's going to be great. Allowing it means that you about to go through some things that's going to help you see what you didn't want to see. Right. And loving yourself and approving yourself is so important. It's not up to somebody else to approve you. It's not up to somebody else to love you. You got to love you too.
Right. And so that self-esteem piece becomes a very major thing. So being single and being in ministry in the place that I am, what I find is a lot of women who think that the reason they are broken or the reason that they're sad is because they're not married. And so they're attaching a level of completeness, a level of peace. Like my peace is not here because a husband hasn't found me or I haven't found my husband. And then it starts to dig into their self-esteem. I spoke to a young lady once that was 24 and she's like, all my friends are married. I'm like, but you're 24. And if it's not your time, you know what I mean? It's not your time. And the thing is, like, she hated herself. She thought something was wrong with her. And so my thing is, how do you, I'm going to tell you, as somebody that is single and has been single and being over 40, it becomes difficult to hold on to your self-esteem in certain scenarios where people are like, why are you so old and you haven't gotten married yet? But I also know that I have talked to women who are married who have lost themselves because everything was that, like, nothing, they weren't rooted in anything that made them understand who they were or where they even felt beautiful. I feel like adjunct, you know what I'm saying? Like marriage, and I'm just a piece of this whole thing. And so we have two different dynamics here where you know your beauty is masked by society's expectation or the church's expectation of what you should be doing.
And that's true in lots of different situations. There's single women whose identity is masked by their career. There's single women there's married women whose identity is still masked by their career and not their marriage. There are a lot of times, depending on the things you've gone through in your life and whether you decided to face them or not, sometimes you won't be able to really try and find your inner beauty, your best you, until you deal with you. And at the end of the day, regardless of whether you're married, whether you're not, whether you've got a great career, whether you don't, whether you're in something you love or not, in order to be your best version of you, you got to dig deep into who you are and figure out yourself and your own passion. Until you love you, it's going to be very difficult to love anybody else.
And you know what?
It don't matter.
That is so, and it's so connected to healing. It is so connected to whether or not you're healed or not. Let me tell you something. There are some very, very beautiful women who are so broken by the things that they've been through that they don't know how beautiful they are. I mean, just on the surface, you know what I mean? Like everybody's like, oh, she's so pretty. And when you talk to her, she literally hates herself. But it's so connected to your healing, which is why identity is so important. Like, what are you rooted in? What is the thing that stabilizes you? Because Christ is more beautiful than Nisa is by far. And my relationship with him is always going to be more beautiful than anything else that I relationship with. So am I rooted in something that the beauty that I love or the things that I love about me can grow from, can heal from, and can shift from? And so but we don't, like, as a society, I don't even think as a church, honestly, society, church crossover, we don't really encourage the discovery of yourself, the truth about healing. Healing is not just about like saying you're over a thing. It's literally a process of excavation of
Yes.
whatever it is that broke you. Like you gotta dig that thing out. You have to know what hurt you, and then you gotta dig out the consequences and dig out the emotions so that thing. Because here's the truth: when you lack healing like that, those wounds are not beautiful. They're not beautiful
Mm-hmm.
to you, and they're not going to
Mm-hmm.
translate as beauty to anybody else. And so
Mm-hmm.
you're going to spend the time that you're not spending healing. You'll spend it literally self-loathing and running around in circles trying to find the thing that makes you feel good enough.
And in pain, because if you think about it, if you break a bone, right, say you fall out of a tree, you break a bone, yeah,
Right,
that thing hurt because you broke it, right?
right,
But in order to get it back to where it needs to be, it's got to be rebroken. And that's
right.
the part that no one wants to go through, because
Man,
you're like, I don't ever want to be hurt like that again. Okay, but you got to go through being hurt like that so it can be set in the
right.
right way, so
Mm.
that it can heal properly. But until you address it, until, if you just walking around taking medicine, talking about, I don't never want to break like this again, it's
I
gonna
don't want
remain
to feel like
broken.
this again, so I'm gonna stay away from
Yeah,
everything that could help heal me.
that's
I just,
right. So, and the other thing that I just, as an educator, one of the
uh,
main things that I do, every class that I've taught, whether it was teaching adults, teaching children, students, whatever, you got to find your passion. What is it that gets you out of the bed in the morning? The way I do a lot of career counseling for
mhm.
people, and what I tell them is, whatever it is that gets you out of the bed in the morning, whatever it is, that thing that you love, we can monetize it. Don't just settle for any old
Hey.
job because it's a job that somebody said you got to pick this career or that career. No, you got to live your passion. And that is also how you find your self-esteem, because
Yeah.
if you love what you do, you are going to put your all into it, and it
Right.
becomes part of who you are. Like, I can draw plans. I will draw somebody's house in my sleep. Don't nobody ever have to pay me. Now, I'm not doing it for free, but my happy place is drawing plans.
Yeah.
And it is something that I will do until the day I die, whether it's what I go do an 8 to 5 for or not. It's my
Right.
passion. I love building people. I love building programs. I love building plans. I love building. Period. The
Yeah.
process of building fascinates me. And
Right.
so until you learn that, when I look back over my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, you went from, I got a degree in architecture, I got a degree in education, I got an MBA, I'm in my doctorate for something else. And I'm like, okay, what does all of this stuff have in common? All of it is about building. All of
Hey,
it is the
you
process
starting to get
of
feedback.
building. Uh-oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's
Okay.
okay.
But anyway, it's all related to my passion.
Yeah. 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 So that's the thing. The passion is the thing. And honestly, like you said, find what you love and monetize what you love. When you find what you love, then like, what is it that I like to do? What is the thing that makes me want to get up in the morning? Like the thing, and not as it relates to everybody else, but the thing that I breathe for in terms of what I put my hands to. What works do I want my hands to be blessed in? And then figure out how you can help other people with it. Like, how do I take this thing and put it out into the community in a way that other people can grab hold to it, and then it can be monetized? There are a lot of miserable people just working jobs because they think the money is supposed to be the thing. And money and misery go hand in hand for a whole lot of folks. Money and misery go hand in hand for a whole lot of people. There are a whole lot of very pretty women out here that hate themselves. There are a whole lot of very great looking men out here that have money that hate themselves. So beauty is not found in the dollar amount. Beauty is not found in the aesthetics. There's something about being at peace with who you are, being at peace with what you do, being in a place of willingness to be introspective enough to want to heal. Like, do I like me enough to want to face me in the broken places and allow myself to be fixed, to repair, and to go through that process? What you said about the broken bone and being reset is tantamount. The way I say it is like, if I have a wound that's infected and all I do is keep covering it with a bandage, then it's gonna spread and get gangrene. And then when it's time, when I really decide, okay, I'm gonna deal with this, I take the bandage off. Now you have to clean that wound out. There's infection. There's all of this other stuff that has to be done in order to address it now, that wouldn't have had to be done on the other part, because what was just a wound, a surface wound, is now bone deep. And there's a whole other set of circumstances that have to occur in order to get that thing clear. And once you clean it out, now you have to allow it to heal and close up and go through that process. And man, it is a process. But there is something, or your whole body gets septic. Cheryl
Yes.
said your whole body will get septic.
That's right. You know, and the longer you let it fester, the worse it's gonna be when you gotta go back and clean that thing out, reset it. You still get feedback or no?
No, good.
Good. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
the longer you let it sit, like the longer it takes you to go back to that broken piece and deal
Mm-hmm.
with it, it's gonna be harder. And it's unfortunate, but it just is the way it is. You know, we
Yeah.
gotta not run from things. We gotta deal with these things because guess what? When we deal with it, we will be better on the other side because of it. We will
And so
love
are
ourselves
kids.
more. Yes,
We,
our kids will love us more. Our
let me
people will
see.
love us more. Our friends, we will want to be around ourselves. Okay. I will
Can
want to
we
hang
talk
out with
about the
me.
fact that we got so many grown women out here that don't like themselves, and now we raising them
Yes.
like generation after generation after generation of girls that don't like themselves? Like,
Mm-hmm.
society is painting a picture, and social media is creating these depictions of beauty that are absolutely not true. People think
That's
your
right.
life is beautiful because you haven't put your drama on Facebook. They think your face is beautiful, but they don't realize that underneath what you got going on in your face is hell at home. They think your job seems beautiful, and they don't realize you go to war every single day. But it's because we have this thing going on where we're trying to show the world that we're okay sometimes when we're not. And there's actually, for me, there's beauty in the truth. To me, there's beauty in actually understanding, hey, just because it looks good doesn't mean it's easy. And just
That's
because
right.
it's not easy doesn't mean it's not beautiful. Like the process, we're both business owners. And people be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, girl, I'm so proud of you. Hey, man, that's
Right.
not an easy thing to do.
No,
Get
it's
to be
not.
known.
It's
But
not.
don't let
It's not.
Facebook fool you. I can
Right.
change my profile 3, 4, 5 different ways and tell you that I went through 4, 5 months of not making any income talking about I'm a business owner.
Right. Right. Say that. You know, and let's be honest, like everything good isn't beautiful. And there's a whole lot of bad that is real beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me just say, listen, I have been through some tough times over this past, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 months, it feels like. But
Yeah.
when I look back, I can't do anything but smile because of what it taught me, where it brought me
Right.
from, and what it means for what's next. Like,
Right.
you know, having learned these lessons, having been down some of these through these struggles, like doing it now versus later, like I'm like, oh, okay, I got that, you know.
Yeah.
And while it doesn't seem logical, there are a whole lot of tough situations and bad things that are beautiful, that are wonderful, that I am taking on as part of my identity. I can look at some of my faults and say, you know what, I count that as beautiful because it means I'm still human. It means that it's okay to not be great at everything, and that's still part of my beauty.
Right. It's like, so have you ever seen a guy, you look at a man that has a scar across his face, and you would think that the scar itself is unattractive, but it's something about it that gives him character. Sometimes the things that you go through that wound you and scar you, they're the things that you need to develop who you are and really establish a different type of beauty in your life so that you can project that out to the world. But hey,
Mm-hmm.
can we talk about being your own brand of beautiful and jealousy?
Ooh, let's talk about it.
Particularly as it concerns women in relationships. We have a number of women in here right now, but women
Mm-hmm.
in relationships. I I said to myself today as I got ready, I know, look, y'all know, like I could be online. I've done a couple of lives over the last few weeks where I had no makeup on because honestly, I like my face. Let me tell you something. I like my face. I like my face
Mm-hmm.
with makeup. I like my face without makeup. It just depends on how I feel on a given day. Today,
Yep.
I was gonna wear makeup and I was gonna wear my grill because I'm H-Town fly. Like that's what I do.
Hey.
But let me tell you something. There's nothing, nothing like loving yourself to help you figure out who hate themselves. Let me tell you, like somebody that's walking in a deep level of self-hatred, it's very, very difficult to function around if you like you. And
Mm-hmm.
it used to exhaust me. Now I'm 42 years old. I refuse to be exhausted anymore by people who refuse to get better. But here's the thing, I'm like, just because I walk in a room and I feel like I look good does not mean that I'm saying anything about you. How I feel
Mm-hmm.
about me is literally not an expression about you at all. And if you're able to take how I feel about me and make it about you, it's low-key narcissistic and it's typically rooted in self-hatred.
Come on, talk about it.
I'm
Talk
just
about
saying.
it. Talk about it. You're right. You're
I'm
right.
just saying that there's
Yes.
nothing, it has nothing to do how I feel about me on a given day. If you ask me if I'm pretty, I'm going to say yes. If you
Mm-hmm.
ask me if I love me, I'm absolutely going to say yes because I do.
Right.
If you ask me if you pretty, I'm telling you, you are because you are. You are
Yes.
gorgeous. You're beautiful. I have compliments for every woman in the room. I absolutely do. But listen to me. How I feel about me should not define, determine, or make you have anything to say about how you feel about you. And
That's
it's
right.
because you walked in a room with that issue. You
Yep.
literally walked in a room with that issue. And so a lot of the problem that we have as women, hey man, you can't walk into a room with shoes on that made you happy without certain women feeling like you're trying to do like, man, it ain't got nothing to do with you. I wasn't
Come
even
on.
thinking about you when I put the shoes on. Literally
Right. Talk
wasn't.
about it.
I
Talk about it.
literally wasn't.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Uh-uh.
Talk about it. It's the truth, and it's unfortunate that we allow how other people to define how we feel about ourselves, whether it's how they feel about themselves, what they're doing, what they're not doing, or even
Mhm.
what they did or did not say to us. None of it should define how we feel about ourselves.
Man.
None of it. None of it should have a bearing on how we feel about ourselves. Because even in the face of criticism, you should still feel good about yourself. It is just an opportunity for growth. We have a habit, as women, especially as the overachieving, right? Our
Type A
our type
personality.
A,
Type A.
guilty, guilty. That when you tell me I didn't do something right, I take it as I am not right. And
Right,
that's not what that means.
right.
An accounting of performance is not a testament to my character or my
At all.
person.
At
And
all.
so we have to learn to separate that, especially for us high functioning people who are like constantly going over everything, taking in every piece of feedback, trying to fix it all. We have
Mm-hmm.
to be able to separate our self identity, our self esteem from professional business, making those things work. Those things are different. Those things
Yeah.
are different. I don't feel any less about myself whether I fail in business or whether I succeed in business. I am still beautiful. I still love me regardless because
Right.
I am not defined by my failures or my successes.
Let me tell you something that I learned. At 42, what I have learned is that, good evening, Apostle Sharika. Thank you for joining. One thing that I have learned is that if a certain level of self-hatred in a woman that does not want to be better will never work in my space. And it's not because I don't want it to. It's because if you hate yourself on that level and you don't want to be better, then you're going to be offended by everything that I am, not everything
Mm-hmm.
that I do. You're going to be offended by everything that I am. Every time I show up, I'm gonna think I'm all there. Every time I put on makeup, I do too
Mm-hmm.
much. When
Mm-hmm.
I wear my red bottoms, what's she doing? If I put my grill in, she just want attention. Like everything, like there's and
Mm-hmm.
I've watched it go on throughout my life over and
Yes.
over, especially as an adult. I've seen it in business. I've seen it in casual relationships. I've seen it in the
Yep.
church. The church is one of the hardest places to live this truth.
Yes.
Like, can I just be me? Can I
That's
just be
right.
who God made me
That's right.
without it being something? Oh, she's not like a man jumped in one of my lives one day and told me that I was not modest. She's not modest. Okay, maybe your definition of modesty flies against who I am as a person, but we get attacked by the religious. One, there's a religion issue, but the other thing is very much so like what I can find, and I always discern underneath religion is somebody that really fundamentally hates themselves. And let me tell you something, as a type A
Mm-hmm.
personality that wants to continue growing and succeeding, if I
That's
see
right.
somebody doing something well, another woman especially, I want to know how you can you teach me?
Right.
Can you
Exactly.
coach me? Can I
Right.
ask you some questions? What I'm
Yes.
not gonna do is judge you. Oh, she thinks she all that. Oh, she thinks she too
Mm-mm.
much. Oh, look, man, y'all,
Right.
look, depending on how I felt, if I walk in a room with a tiara on, it's not because I
Right.
was trying to impress y'all. It's because I woke up feeling like crap. I promise
Right.
you. Like there are some days where I don't
Yes.
like
Yes.
I don't feel great. And if I
Yes.
woke up not feeling great, then I just might get gorgeous and
Right.
put on a
Right.
whole crown and remind myself that I'm a queen. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna walk around my house with this tiara on, and it may seem
That's right.
crazy, but whatever it takes to make me feel better is what I'm gonna
That's
do.
right.
Whatever. That's not a statement about anybody but Nisa.
That's right.
Nobody.
That's right. That's
Give me
right.
one moment.
That's right. And it's the truth. One of the things that I've had to learn is to not allow what somebody else thinks I should do to be the driving factor, the driving force. Just because someone says, "Oh, your hair is already beautiful. Why would you do anything different to it?" Well, because that's what made me feel good that day. That's what I like to do. That's what I wanted to do. Why would I do any particular thing? Why do you wear makeup and your face is already beautiful? Because I like it. And because I like it, I'm going to do it. And because it makes me feel good, I want to feel good about myself. When I look in the mirror, I say, okay, you doing it today. All right, go do your thing, girl. I gotta be able to give myself a pep talk. I don't want to look in the mirror and dislike what I see so that somebody else will approve me or will
Oh
like me.
God.
I
So that
can't do that.
somebody else will be okay with them. I should
Yeah.
not have to
Mm-mm.
pretend like I like me less so that you can
Right.
like you more. That's
Exactly.
weird. It
Like
is weird.
I don't I love women that wear their hair in its natural state. I love it. I think it is absolutely beautiful. That ain't for me.
Ain't for you.
It just
That one
isn't.
do.
It just isn't. It's not a look that I want to do. And because I don't want to do that, that doesn't make me any less.
Oh
And
man.
that doesn't make me any less of a woman, doesn't make me any less beautiful, doesn't make me any less black. Okay. Let's talk about that. Don't make me
Oh.
any less black. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But to each his own. Whatever it is that makes you happy, makes you love you, that's what you've
Mhm.
got to do and to focus on. And let's be honest, if we are God's children and
Right.
He is in us, why
Mhm.
wouldn't we want to love ourselves? Why wouldn't we want
Listen,
to love who we are?
let's not get too scriptural, but the Bible says, "Love thy neighbor as thyself." And
Right.
we so far removed from the thyself part that we don't realize that in all of our doing, we're still compromising the ability of love that we have to give because we haven't found it for ourselves.
That's right.
And somebody tried to say, "Oh, well, that doesn't mean what you think it means." When did love not mean love?
Right.
Since when did
Exactly.
love in the Bible not mean love? It
Speak.
absolutely just means love. So
Hmm.
if you're going to love thy neighbor as
That's
thyself,
right.
then you may
That's
want to
right.
take some time to focus on the thyself part. And I'm not
Hmm.
saying be arrogant, and I'm not saying be ignorant, but I am
Hmm.
saying
Hmm.
that you can be uniquely beautiful,
Hmm.
unapologetically. I'm not
Hmm.
apologizing for being Nisa.
Right.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry for being
That's
Nisa.
right.
I'm
That's right.
absolutely not going to do it. And Nicole said, in my space, you'll either get better or bitter.
Right.
If you hate yourself, then you
Yes.
get in the space of somebody that loves themselves, and
That's
you're
right.
either going to get better or you're going
Hmm.
to get bitter. And you
Hmm.
literally have a choice. You
Hmm.
literally have a
Hmm.
choice.
Yes.
And if you
Yes.
choose the latter, I'm gonna pray for you, but
That's right.
I refuse to be stopped, and I never have been. And people
That's
have
right.
thought it was an arrogance on my part, and it's not
Right.
arrogance. It's not
And let's
arrogance.
just talk about, for a quick second. People think that when you spend money on things, that somehow that means that you better than somebody, that you think you all of this or that. It makes me feel good. Again, we are back to what makes
What
you
makes
happy. And
me
if I want to buy a Louis Vuitton purse because that's what I want to do, that has no bearing on your value, your worth, or anything. And you can't define how I feel about me. And you can't say, well, you shouldn't have done that or any of those things, because I'm going to do what makes me feel good, what keeps me going, and what satisfies me. And because I do live a life for the Lord, guess what? Everything I do, I'm gonna pray about, is gonna be in alignment, and we're gonna keep moving forward.
And
That's
you're
what we're
not
gonna
God,
do.
so I don't have to explain all of that to you.
Right. Exactly.
And you're not
Exactly.
God. So where you want the explanations, like there's a place where, you know, if it offends your brother, there's some scriptures. But I'm telling you, people will weaponize the word so that you're
Yes.
running around here trying to make folks happy that you shouldn't have to make happy. Like, it's not my
Exactly.
job to cater to your self-esteem issue. Like, I'm
That's
absolutely
right.
not doing that. I'm
That's
not.
right.
I will pray
Mm-hmm.
for you. I will pray with you. I will
Mm-hmm.
not become somebody else in an effort
That's
to
right.
make you feel better about the space that you and I exist in
That's
together.
right.
If that
That's
doesn't
right.
work, then I will absolutely draw a boundary that keeps us from
Mm-hmm.
having to do that.
That's right. And you know what?
I'll draw a line, and we
And I
won't
don't have
do
to
it.
make and I don't have to make millions, to justify doing anything.
I don't
You
have to
know what?
justify nothing.
I don't have to
Like
justify anything. Like
if
if
y'all
I
bring
want to have
$100
something
ain't paying
nice,
for my stuff, don't worry about it. Like,
that's
honestly,
right. That's right. I love like it could means because I like quality and I want quality. That's right. Because I don't want to keep buying stuff over and over. That's right, Bree. That is exactly right. Yes, come with it. Oh, I will draw a boundary. I love it. I love
yeah,
it. And it's just so important that we do not be afraid to be ourselves.
yeah,
And that when it comes to justifying, because we all go through this justification process.
we
We
do.
all we but make sure that when you measure it, it's by what the Lord wants for you and not what the world is
Hey,
trying to put on you.
hey,
You
let me
know,
say something. Just because you don't agree with what I'm doing doesn't mean God doesn't.
that you better say now,
People
just
will,
go and
people
run
will.
that back one more
Let me
time.
tell
Say
y'all,
that
I got
again.
my Louboutins are literally a testimony.
Okay.
My Louboutins are literally a testimony in the midst
Mm-hmm.
of one of the most difficult times in my life, one of the most
Mm-hmm.
painful things I've ever been through. The Lord
Mm-hmm.
promised me something,
Mm-hmm.
and those shoes showed up. And I
Yeah.
literally went to my apostle, and he was like, I was like, was God on this? Because it felt God ordained. When I made $100,000 a year, I couldn't put a
Yeah.
pair of Louboutins in my closet. But when
Exactly.
I was going through the worst part of my life,
Come
the
on now.
Lord put 3 pairs.
Okay.
So and it's not a big deal to anybody. But here's the
But
thing.
me.
The Lord
Yes.
said, if I will provide for the sparrows and the birds in the air, then
That's
what more
right.
do you think I would do
That's
for you?
right.
So my
That's right.
understanding, once it was all said
Mm-hmm.
and done, was that there
Mm-hmm.
were things that I wanted that were important to me. And no, it's that the testimony absolutely will do something for the kingdom. But the
Yes.
shoes are Nisa. That's
Yeah.
Nisa. And
That's right.
so when God showed me, he said, I heard it all. I
Yes.
saw it all. I
Mm-hmm.
understood it all. Your pain
Yes.
wasn't for nothing.
That's right.
And the shoes don't answer for, hold on. The shoes
Yes.
don't answer for everything,
Uh-huh.
but they absolutely made me feel better about
Yes.
what I was going through in that
That's exactly
particular
right.
moment.
And you know what? God speaks to each of us in the way that we can understand. Okay. And so
Yeah,
the way that God helps me to know that He is here, that He is hearing me, and that He is feeling me and showing me that I have not left behind is not the same way He gonna do
it's
that for
not.
you.
It's
And
not the
and
same word.
nobody else can dictate what it should look like. And when I say, listen, this is a testimony, that's all that need to be said. Matter of
That's
fact, it's a privilege to get that. Okay. That's
listen
all.
to me, because we
It's a
overcome by the
privilege to
blood of
get
the
that.
Lamb and the words of our testimony. And love not
Yes.
their lives unto death because of. And so that's what I'm like. Don't let this grill make you think I forgot this word.
That's right. That's
Like
right.
I pray with the grill in.
That's
If
right.
you need me to, but I pray
Right.
with the shoes on. If you need
That's
me
right.
to, if the shoes
Sure
bother
will.
me, let me take them off. But when it's time
Right.
to shoot the thing in God, we're absolutely gonna do it.
That's right.
And so Nicole says the worst part is that I would more likely buy nice things as a gift for someone who's close to me just as soon as I buy it for myself. The idea that someone would have a problem with whatever I own is ridiculous. The Lord doesn't run out of money, and He loves for us to have it, so share, spend, and live well. Like
Mm-hmm.
what she's saying is absolutely true
Mm-hmm.
about her.
Absolutely.
She's actually a person that gives gifts. She
That's
does.
right.
Put it out
That's
with
right.
put it show
That's
up with
right.
let me tell you something. Put it show up with some new stuff all the time just because it's Nicole. And she loves to do it. So but she buys nice things for herself. And look, man, Nicole is gorgeous too. And look, everybody's
Yes.
pretty, everybody's cool. Cheryl got the pink hair. We love it. It's dope. But
Yes.
everybody has something to say about
Mm-hmm.
everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have something to say about everything. Let Cheryl be her own brand of beautiful. Let Nicole be her own brand of beautiful. Let them be our prophet Celinda. Let her be her own brand of beautiful.
That's
It doesn't
right.
make anybody else any less. And if you wouldn't do what I do, that's cool.
That's
Like,
cool. Because you ain't supposed to.
okay.
Because guess what? Everybody's path is fit for themselves. Everybody, listen, you can't wear the blessing God designed for me at the end of the day. And
Right.
as a professional, I don't, if somebody come to me and say, I want to know how to do exactly what you do. All right, let's get to it. Because guess what is for me is for me, and what is for you is for you. And there's enough room at God's table for every single person to make whatever you want to make, to have whatever you want to have. You being at the table doesn't take anything away from me, and me helping you get to the table doesn't take anything away from me. I don't have to give you my blessings for you to get to the table, but I can give you my support. I can give you my love, and I can push you forward to find your own blessings that God has for you. And I don't forfeit anything by loving people, by loving women, by telling them they are beautiful. I don't forfeit anything by being kind. I don't forfeit anything.
Hey,
And
y'all,
so
we
many
come
people
from
think they do.
this my mama's side of the family. We come from some gorgeous women. Like, they pretty. And they pretty and they know it. Look, I told one of my aunties to take a picture one time. She was on her way out the room. That thing spun around when she had a fur on with a hat on. Girl, she never went spinning around it before.
Right.
She had posed up on the way, like, boom. Like, but that's just who she is. And there's nobody around here apologize. They didn't teach us to be apologetic about who we are. They didn't teach us to feel like it's like we need to be less. They didn't teach us any of that. And so when it's a lot of confidence in the room when all six of them are in there. And then if you add us, it's a whole lot. But
then it's a whole lot.
We have learned.
Yes.
There are some things that we have learned and learned well. Y'all homegirl is on it. Learned well as a result of being a part of the family that we're in. And I think being in ministry, you know what I'm saying? Like, the ministry life has really just shown different aspects. And then, professionalism, like, just being in the professional world as well. Seeing how women interact, because, things, we're taught to compete in places that we don't have to. It's enough for everybody.
We don't have to. Everybody.
To compete with
every single person.
It's enough for everybody to eat. Like, there's no reason.
That's right. And anything I got, anybody can have. You put in the work. I did. You put in your work. You can get your
put in your work.
I put in my work.
And you don't know what it took. Hey, man, that was a chick that used to tell me all the time, man, I wish I had your life. I wish I could be you. I wish I could do you. Oh, your boyfriend, he's so nice. He's not nice. He's a jerk. He's really not nice. He was a jerk. I was tired of him. And then she was like, I want to be, I wish I had your life. Okay, look. So I told her one day, I said, look, how about I let you live my life for one solid week? How about you do that? So I can rest. Because it's not easy being green. Like Kermit the Frog said. It's not easy being green. Like, what I do to be me every day is not easy. And so this idea that we look at people and decide that we want what we think they have, or we want to do what we think they're doing, or that somehow their life is more beautiful than the one that we're living, is outrageous. We have to get to a place where we find the beauty in our own space. What is the beauty in your life?
At the end of the day, these blessings cost. You don't know the hell I've been through to be at the place that I am. Now, while you want to wear the crown that I'm wearing, you haven't been through what I've been through. And so let's talk about the sacrifice that was necessary to get where I got. Now, is that what you want to do? Because understand that this ain't nothing but the icing on the cake. The cake was the sacrifice. Okay, so we can't look. I don't look at nobody and say I want anything that they have, because I don't know what they went through to get it. I know what I went through to get where I am, and I'm good with that. Okay, I'm good with that. I don't need no more nothing, because what God, the path that God laid out for me is fit for me. It's what I can handle. I don't know that I can handle somebody else's path. While it may look real good, I don't want to.
I don't even want to.
It wasn't designed for me. So I want to do what God designed for me, because guess what? It only fits me.
Exactly. My thing is, dude, I've never been able to pretty girl my way through anything. Like,
Mm-mm.
I never wanted to, but if
Mm-mm.
it was just about how many people tell you pretty, then I'd have everything I thought I wanted. There would never be a question of having to do any work for anything. I tell
Mm-hmm.
everybody, look, this makeup is a skill set that I learned. My
Right.
face is literally DNA. You want me to thank my
Mm-hmm.
parents? Because I can.
Right.
Like Crystal and
Right.
Michael did that. I didn't do anything. We can thank the Lord. But when it comes to, pretty, I'm a pretty girl my way through anything. I'm
Mm-mm.
actually intelligent, which is why you can't jump in my inbox talking about you gorgeous. I'm gonna be your friend. I'm not
Right.
just pretty. I'm
That's
actually
right.
intelligent, and that much I know. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
just pretty. I actually know the word, and that much I know. I'm a good
Mm-hmm.
friend. I'm a good woman. I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually humble. I'm
Right.
humble. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
confident and know I know who I am. I also
Mm-hmm.
know what I need to work on.
That's right.
So just as confident as I am, I'm introspective enough to be willing to look that same person in the face and say, "Hey, chick,
Yep.
you need to grow here. You need to
Mm-hmm.
shift here. You need
That's
to do
right.
something different in this area." And people don't
Yes.
know how much, hey, y'all, being your own brand of beautiful means that you work on you in a way
That's
that
right.
other people don't necessarily work on them. You
That's
don't
right.
live on the compliments of others. You live on the truth of who your identity says you are. And when it's time
Mm-hmm.
for you to do an evaluation, one, you do them regularly, so that you don't
Mm-hmm.
walk in here in a delusional haze. Some
That's
folks are
right.
real beautiful and they think they got it all together. And ma'am, everything you got going on says self-hate. You need to
Yep.
shift here, here, and here. But you got
That's
to
right.
stuck it pretty. Don't
Yeah.
get stuck at pretty. Don't get
Don't.
stuck at
Mm-mm.
money. Don't get
No.
stuck at clothes. Don't get
Mm-mm.
stuck at shoes. There's a
Mm-mm.
whole lot of being beautiful that comes. And this is why our girls are so confused.
Mm-hmm.
Our
It
daughters
is.
are so
It
confused.
is. Yes. Yes. They are so confused. And these TV shows, this stuff is not helping. These songs, this stuff is not helping. And so it takes, we cannot be absent as parents. We have to, because guess what? They're going to hear it and they're going to watch it. So
Yep.
it's up to us to come in and say, okay, that was a great show. We watched that. But remember this, you are still beautiful. You don't have to do what they're doing. Remember, that's a group of kids with no parents at the house and living in a penthouse. Y'all know what show
Right.
I'm talking about if they're young. There ain't no rules there. So understand that we still, as parents, we got to show up, not just biological parents, but even in parental what opportunities. If we
Yeah.
get opportunities to encourage, to
Yeah.
inspire young people, young girls, and our young men need to know that they're
Oh,
worth
Jesus.
more than what society is saying and what they're seeing
Yeah.
on TV and what they're
Yeah.
seeing in these TV shows and movies. They are worth more than gold. And I try to tell,
Right.
I got two boys and a girl, and I try to
Right.
tell each and every one of them their worth and their value every single
Right.
day so that they
Right.
internalize that. So regardless of who says anything, that they
Right.
already know that they have been paid for with a price, that they are worth more than gold.
Yep.
So
And
that's
beauty is
important.
not just about pronouns.
It's not.
Beauty is not just about being a woman. That,
No.
that my son is beautiful. His
Mm-hmm.
heart is beautiful. His purpose
Mm-hmm.
is beautiful. The person that the Lord made him is beautiful. And we need to
Yes.
encourage our sons to be
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, to be vulnerable when it matters, so that they can really be strong. There's no
That's right.
strength like understanding when you need to emote.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
Yes.
strength like being somebody that is willing to say, I'm hurting, I need to heal. And we need to
Yes.
teach our sons that they're not just about sex and money, because
That's
all
right.
we're teaching
That's
them is
right.
how to be sexy and be paid. And we
Yes.
need to teach our girls that it's not just about being cute and sex.
Yes.
Again, we're talking to
That's
them
right.
about their bodies,
Mm-hmm.
about being wives. Like, you could be
Mm-hmm.
a wife, that's great, but God didn't design you simply to be a role in everybody else's play.
That's
He
right.
didn't. There's a
That's right.
role that he's giving you. There's a thing that he
Mm-hmm.
wants you to do for your life. And there's a
That's
beauty
right.
that you have to find in that. And we have
Mm-hmm.
to begin to encourage in a different way. And I mean,
Yes.
especially when we're talking about getting away from like the rules and the jealousy and really addressing it. Look, I'm in wellness and weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
Too many women don't like themselves. There's
Yes.
too many women that are way too old that really, really don't like themselves. And they're raising girls and their girls don't like themselves. And
Yep.
that's what's the problem is that they're continuing to raise them with this level of self-hatred that is just that they really actually don't even realize they have.
Yes.
A lot of the problem is that they don't even like. We're talking about grown women that don't realize, bam, what you're walking in is a lot of self-hatred. You don't like you.
That's right. And
You know,
the thing that I realized, like, we're always on a journey to weight loss, right? Everybody always trying to lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. But at what point do you love who you are right now? Even until you lose the weight that you're trying to lose. Why can't you love who you are right now? Why can't you wear the clothes that fit? Why can't you find clothes that you love that fit who
right.
you are right now? Like,
Listen to me.
okay, yes, but how many years are you gonna spend chasing this ideal weight, ideal outfits, ideal all of that? You got to love who you are right now, even if that is still the goal. It's okay for it to
It's
still be the goal,
okay.
but
Yeah.
you can still love who you are. Loving who you are right now does not compromise who you can be in the future.
Listen, so my peak weight was 275 pounds, 275. But let me tell you what, had I not been ill, I didn't realize there was an issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was 5'3.5", 275 pounds. And hey, y'all, that's when I was partying. You weren't gonna tell me that when I went into the club, I wasn't gonna pull. Cause I was, it wasn't. I was. If I said I was going to the club and I was gonna meet somebody, I was gonna meet 2 or 3 somebodies, and people used to be confused.
Right.
Women would be confused because y'all running around here and you're covered in skinny, and y'all understand how I'm still. Cause I ain't tripping off of none of that. Because when I walk in the room, I'm so solid about who I am that's more attractive than skinny. That was more attractive than fat. It was more attractive than all of that. The fact that I was good with me. I was like, I told him, I said, why you ain't tell me I needed to lose weight? What was we gonna tell you about you? It was literally because I was ill. And that was all. I've done some modeling for a few friends that have boutiques, and it's plus size model circuit. I'll tell you what. Okay.
What? Yes.
Got full figure fashion week, main runway in New York. Like, you're not going to tell them that they are anything less than gorgeous. They know it. And they're smart, and they're educated, and they're in business. So this idea,
and it's not an anomaly, okay? It's not an anomaly.
It's not.
It is so much more common. Like, it is not like the one-off.
Right.
It's not.
It's really not. It's really
it
not.
It can be the norm if we make it the norm.
Here's the crazy thing. So the average body size has been like a size 14, 16 for 25 years.
Forever. Right. Exactly.
Like the average body size has literally been like a size 14, 16 for 25 years. So this goes back to what society is telling us about what is true and what is not, and what is beautiful and what is not, and what we should be and what we shouldn't be. Here's the thing. If you decide to go have surgery, you want to have a tummy tuck, you want to have breast lift, you want to do all that stuff, that's so up to you. Like, there's no judgment there. If you are comfortable being a size 20, that's so up to you. There's no judgment there.
Do what makes you feel good.
Whatever it is. Because like Cheryl said earlier, there's a whole lot of people that are real gorgeous on the outside and have no integrity. They're garbage on the inside. They don't like themselves. They don't like anybody else. And so when it's all said and done, it's really not just about how you look. It's really about the sum total of being a beautiful person from the inside out, and really being able to convey that to our daughters. Look, we've been on for hours, so I want to try to give me some last thoughts, and then we're gonna wrap up and go.
My at the bottom, or at the base of all of this, is knowing your passion. Know Christ. Know Christ. So you know whose you are.
Right.
Okay. And the authority you walk with.
That's it.
Regardless of what you look like.
Wherever you are.
And then learn your passion. What it is that gets you out of the bed. What makes your eyes flutter. What makes your heart sing. And do that. And guess what? Everything else will fall in place.
Know whose you are. Know whose you are. Know your authority. Nothing gives confidence like understanding your authority and understanding what's backing you. That's
Right.
no man. What you
Listen,
rooted
listen.
in. Look, if you're
Ain't
not
listen.
rooted in Christ, far be it from me to tell you, like, I believe Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. However, know
Yes,
what's backing you. Hopefully you got
exactly.
what you rooted in is solid. And so
That's
I
right.
know whose you are. I belong to
Mm,
Christ. Know
that's
your
right.
authority. Heaven backs me because I stay in front of God
Exactly.
so that it can. And so there's
Uh-huh.
no reason for me to feel like anything less than everything God has said that I am. And that
That
once you know, hey, that's the
hey,
thing.
that's it
Who
right
does
there.
God say you are? Your
That's right.
identity is already set. Your identity
It
was
is.
set in heaven before you were sent to earth.
That's
So
right.
our lives are a series of discovery points. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things will try to disrupt our discovery, but there's always an opportunity to reset. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the jealousy thing has to be addressed and really consistently dealt with so that we can start coming together as a community and stop competing in places that don't make
Yes.
sense so that we
That's
can
right.
find healing in the places that we've
Yes.
been wounded for generations. We've been
Mm-hmm.
fighting
Mm-hmm.
and wounded for a long time. And once we
Yes.
do some generational healing, then we'll be
Yes.
able to get with our daughters and our sons and be able to really speak life into them and change some generational outcomes.
I want to bring up just one more point before we get off.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a journey.
It is.
And how I love myself and what I love about myself can change over time.
Please,
And it's okay that it
please,
changes over
yes,
time. And don't be afraid to walk the journey. The career that I loved 20 years ago might be different than the career I love now, but that doesn't take away, that doesn't make me inconsistent. That
right,
just means I'm still on my journey, and
right,
be okay with continuously becoming. It's a
right,
process. We don't ever really truly like fully arrive until we arrive at the pearly gates.
right,
But be okay with the journey, with
yeah,
everything that comes with it. Embrace
yeah.
it.
Yeah. So even with like I said, the identity thing. I mean, you're rooted here, and your principles are this, but the expression of that, your fruit is seasonal, and so
That's
once fruit is consumed in a season, then it has to reproduce in the next season, and what shows up in the next season may not necessarily look like it did in the last season. I know it's the fruit of being rooted in Christ, but I also know that it's very likely that how this fruit is used in this season is going to be very different than it was in the first season that I understood
come
I
on.
had the fruit.
Come
And we
on.
keep trying to take the same thing and
Yes.
repurpose it rather than going back to the root and saying, hey, this is still
Now
the root
what
and
you
these are
want.
still the
Yes.
principles, but what is it that I do with the fruit and how does that show up in my
Yes.
life? It's okay to change. It's actually
Yes.
necessary to change.
It
People
is.
are not changing, and that's what's wrong. People are not
Mm-hmm.
changing, and there's a whole lot of you hate yourself because you still like, I'm not gonna be 42 still moving like I was when I was 20.
Right.
That would be frustrating, and rightfully
Yes.
so.
Yes.
Rightfully so. And so it gets to a place where, yes, as the seasons change, sometimes it's a season for fruit, sometimes it's a season for pruning. Sometimes the
Mm-hmm.
tree, the leaves, the branches, they just need to be cut back. And once they
Yes.
get cut back, then you'll produce something else and you'll need to do something different with the fruit. It
Yes.
doesn't make you less of who you are, it
That's
actually
right.
makes you more of who you
More.
are becoming.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I
Yes.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So, cousin, thank you.
Oh, this was everything.
Hey, listen, I enjoyed it. I
Oh,
knew
thank you for
God's
letting me be
faithful.
here.
Thank you
Oh my
so
gosh.
much. Thank you so much. I love you very much. Hey,
I
y'all. I
love
thank
you.
y'all for being
Thank you for
on.
everyone. Yes.
Yeah, so if y'all get a chance, go back and watch again. Like it, share it, tell a friend. And until we have our next episode of Candid Conversations where identity speaks, know who you are, be rooted, be solid, and let the expression of your life reflect that. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day.
Blessings.